Okay, my friends, let's begin. We're going to do a little bit of warm-up and then a little bit of Torah study and then apply it to the rest of our practice. And at quarter of, we'll pause for a little Q&A. So please find a seat in your chair, tall spine. Ground your feet. Can even press the four corners of the feet down, inner heel, outer heel. Front arch of the foot. Allow that pressing down to help you also lift up through the crown. And just feel your breath. As you inhale, bring your shoulders up toward your ears, and as you exhale, draw them back, draw the shoulder blades toward each other and down. And repeating like this, inhaling as you come up, be easy in the rest of the arms, and exhaling as you go back and down. A few rolls like this in your own breath. Make it really sweet, really comprehensive, nice and slow, and just feel that whole shoulder girdle. Get some motion, get some life. Then pause, allow those shoulder blades to feel like they're really sliding down the back and the neck is long, a nice swan neck. Now we're going to do a little self-massage by taking the heels of the hands to the thighs. So like a little circle with the hand and then give a little punch to the quads, right down the center of the thigh. And then come on back up to the top. Internally rotate the feet and get the outer hips and the IT bands, the iliotibial bands, the outer edge. You can just you'll find the sweet spots as you go. Get into this motion of rotation of the arms and then turn the legs out and we'll go down the inner line of the of the upper leg. And then take your right leg, cross it over the left, figure four. Give a little massage to the calf and to the shins. You can take the fingers right next to that shin bone. Simultaneously take the thumbs into any spots on the calf. Oh, wow. Feels so good, doesn't it? Or hurts so good. If you find any tender places, maybe just press and hold. Just see the amount of pressure you'd like to give to yourself. It's a really important way to connect with yourself through self-massage, to really be at choice about exactly how you would like to receive touch. And then coming down to the foot. Let's give the foot a nice massage. Again, in any way that feels right to you. Maybe it's a nice deep press with the thumb and hold, like reflexology points. Maybe it's a little more vigorous. So we're just waking up the legs all the way down to the feet, all the way down to the toes, creating or becoming aware of our foundation. Foundation for standing, foundation for our standing poses. Just notice what's tender. Notice what feels alive. Notice what feels not so alive, maybe even a little numb. Make sure you get each toe a little wiggle and pull of the toe. Each piggy goes to market, as it were. And then circle the ankle. And the other direction. And a little bit of point flex. Squeeze the toes, spread the toes, squeeze, spread, and shake it out. We'll go to the other side, crossing the left leg over the right, figure four. And once again, giving some massage attention to the shin and the calf simultaneously. Making it a meditation by giving complete attention and anchor to what you're doing with the intention of really bringing love to this area of the lower leg. Really bringing compassion and assurance of companionship, really, and then come down to the foot. Right? Companionship says, I'm with you. I'm not separate from you. That sounds obvious, but we spend a lot of time in separation from our bodies, don't we? Or in aggression, God forbid, with our bodies. So finding those points on the foot. Bringing chesed, bringing love. Make sure you get each toe once again. Encircle the ankle. Whoa. Don't know if you hear all the snap, crackle, pop on my end and the other direction. And point and flex. Really work through that whole foot. Make it so delicious to whatever extent you can. And then also squeeze the toes, separate the toes, squeeze them, separate them, and give it a nice shake out. Beautiful. So my friends, on this 17th of Adar, on this week, we are looking at Parshat Ki Tisa. We're in the second half of Shemot, of the book of Exodus. It's a huge Torah portion, and I really encourage you, if you have time this week, whenever you do, to really sit with it and just read through, give it some study. We have the census, we have the choosing of Bezalel to make the Mishkan. We have the whole episode of the golden calf, which I'm going to focus in on today. And Moses, of course, coming down from Mount Sinai, smashing the tablets and going up to get new ones. We learn about the 13 attributes of God. Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum V'Chanun, right? That you may know in that melody from the High Holidays that we repeat over and over. So I want to share with you a little piece about the golden calf from Rabbi Shefa Gold. This is just, I thought, quite fantastic. It's from this book called Torah Journeys. I'll share that after our session, if you'd like to look at it a little more. The instructions and descriptions of the building of the Mishkan, she says, constitute the climax of our journey to freedom. When you have built a place in your life for the divine presence to dwell, then your ongoing and growing relationship to the eternal frees you from the enslavement of the conditioned mind. Ki Tisa inserts into the middle of the Mishkan texts the most serious spiritual challenges to our freedom. That challenge is represented by the story of the golden calf, which our tradition points to as exemplifying the quintessential sin. I've wondered sometimes, was that so bad? After 40 days of waiting, the people grew restless and afraid. Moses was, after all, the exclusive mediator between God and Israel. His absence left an unbearable void. And so the people cried out to fill that emptiness with an image that would comfort them. And that sentence alone reminds me of addiction, of all our clinging, our need to just hold on to something, whether it's Netflix, whether it's a substance, whether it's shopping, overworking, right? Something to fill that emptiness, something to comfort us, something to fill the void. The only way to understand the golden calf is to compare it to the Mishkan. This is the heart of this teaching. For the building of the Mishkan is the context for this story. The Mishkan exists for the space within it. It's a structure that is built to send us to that holy innerness. All of its beauty, color, and design are dedicated as a nexus point between the human and divine, between heaven and earth. The important part is not the outer form, but what is inside, for that is where God speaks to us. The further within you get, the more holy is the space. That sentence could be taken straight out of Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, right? So this is also true in yoga. What's true is not the form of the asana, of the pose. What's true is the essence of the pose, and what we derive when we do that self-study of taking a shape and then feeling, observing, and seeing what arises in spaciousness within us, right? So are we creating a mishkan, or are we creating a golden calf? In contrast, the golden calf is solid, existing of and for itself. I do this yoga practice, these poses in this order all the time, and it doesn't change even through the decades, even as my body's changing, right? That would be the extreme form of golden calf, just worshiping the outer form. We supply the gold, but then the calf seems to take on a life of its own. Aaron describes the process saying, I cast the gold into the fire, and out came this calf. The calf has no interior space. It glorifies itself. It is, quote, full of itself. It represents the most dangerous hindrance in the life of spiritual practice. That of worshiping and staying attached to the forms, rather than allowing those forms to send us inward to the essence, to the ikar, as is their purpose. This is the spiritual teaching of Kitisa. How can I dedicate my life to spiritual practice without turning the forms of my practice into an idol? The difference between building a mishkan or a golden calf is sometimes very subtle. What a great piece. So how do we refrain or avoid, this pitfall of turning our practice into a golden calf? We change it up, we make it playful, we sort of change the way we play with the forms, with the asana. So that's what I want to do a little bit of today. Kind of play with some new ways to look at things so that we don't get stuck in our habits in such a way that we are deterred from building the Mishkan as we've been working on. So come to standing, please. And you can take the feet hip width apart. And just ground the feet. And let's start to take a little bit of backstroke with the shoulders. Just feel easy, simple gestures with the shoulders. And then add the elbows to that backstroking. Just see what you begin to open in the ribs and the torso. Stay easy in the knees and the hips. So we're available throughout the body to kind of receive movement. And add the wrists and the hands if you'd like, if it's available to you. And as you continue to backstroke, bring your head, neck, gaze into the movement. So it's really a full torso twist, really open, and that reverberates down to all the joints in the legs, hips, knees, even ankles. It's full body stretching, yawning, backstroking. All of the above. Just waking up. And just see how the breath starts to interface. And then pause. You can give it a little shake, a little wiggle. Grab your chair. And I'll show you from the back. I'd like you to place your chair behind you so that your hips are right up against, and your buttocks perhaps right up against the chair, or the root of my thigh, the upper leg here. We're going to take the arms and externally rotate them so that the palms face forward, and take them to the chair and press into the chair. So we have Tadasana, mountain pose, grounding the four corners of the feet, pressing those palms into the chair. Notice if that sends the rib cage forward. We're not hoping to come into a back bend. We're neutral here. So soften the ribs back. If you feel that that's beginning to occur, keep the eyes on the horizon. And then, giving you all the views here, indelicately, albeit, we're looking to open the upper quadrant of the chest. We're looking to widen and open the collarbones. So you might feel a little bit of sensation coming through the pectoral muscles through the upper chest. See if you can draw the upper arm bones back slightly. This is the most amazing counter pose to sitting at the computer all day. So every once in a while you could just get up, turn around, and take this pose. Really, really helpful to keeping some lift and opening. And then from here, same thing, but legs wide. So the arms are still externally rotated. The palms are facing the chair. We're softening the ribs. Easy, steady, smooth breath. Right here, this moment. Building the Mishkan. Building the indwelling space for presence. I mean, it's so important. We spend a third to a half of the book of Exodus on all the details. Right? So be detailed in your alignment. Good. And then we're going to take a forward bend to the chair. So bring the chair to the front of the mat. Again, the feet are hip width apart. And we'll fold forward from the crease of the hips, depending on how you are in your own hamstrings. Perhaps it's hands to the chair. If it's too much weight on the wrist, make fists, and you can put the fists on the chair. The spine is long, right? So one line from tailbone to crown. We're not bending. So if you find that you're bending at the waist, you come up a little higher to find that length. Or you might take forearms to the chair. Draw the thighs back in space. Draw the pubic bone back in space. And if you can start to feel those directions, perhaps you begin to feel a hollowing of the abdomen. Don't worry, that's fairly subtle if you're not accessing that. Can stay with sensation in the calves, the backs of the legs. And then come on up, take the arms elongated. We're going to take a downward dog on the chair. The palms are facing down. We're going to walk the legs back slightly. So we have this L-shaped downward dog here. Opening up the armpits. Allowing the outer arms, the triceps, to move down towards the floor, while the inner arms, the biceps, are moving in the direction up toward the ceiling. Or you could say inner elbows moving in the direction of up toward the ceiling. At the same time, the bottom tips of the shoulder blades are moving down the back, right? So you're not scrunching the shoulders up. There's plenty of space for your neck. If you want to take it a little bit deeper, hands to the chair seat. Again, this depends on your own hamstrings, calves, Achilles, etc. This is nice elongated downward facing dog, pressing into the hands, externally rotating those upper arms. Okay, then we're going to begin to, keeping the arms straight, we're going to begin to move the hips forward. Turn the hands so you're holding the outsides of the chair. We're going to come first to a plank, and then keeping the toes tucked under, start to draw the chest forward, upward facing dog. So again, lengthen the pubic bone, draw the upper arms back and the chest forward. And then as you exhale, draw the hips back, downward facing dog. So we're going to go back and forth like this. And if this is too much, just go back and do any of the things we've just gone over. If you're here with me, it's inhale, upward facing, and exhale, downward facing. Engage the core, draw the navel toward the spine. Take it slowly, widening in the collarbones, Lengthening through the lower back. A couple times exhaling back and inhaling forward on your own breath, on your own time. And what do you notice? You have to really maintain an even strength, particularly as you come forward, not losing any part of the body as you move. And then when you're ready, pause in the downward facing dog place. And then slowly walk the legs forward. Come on out. We'll move the chair aside for a moment, or in front of you if you'd like. We're going to take wide-legged forward bend one more time. Either the hands are going to come to the chair or the hands are going to come to the floor. Start with the hands at the hips. Inhale, draw the elbows back, lift the heart up. And exhale, fold forward, long spine. Hands to the floor or to the chair. And pause here as you draw the thighs back. Same action, yeah? The thighs are drawing back, the pubic bone is drawing back, the crown of the head lengthening forward. The hips are in line with the ankles. And then if you'd like, inhale, lengthen, and you can exhale and fold more deeply forward. Right, so your choice, pause wherever you like. Fingertips in line with the toes, elbows drawing toward each other, crown of the head lengthening. Make sure you don't hang out in any of your joints. You're really pressing the feet down and lifting the inner ankles up. Lifting those sitting bones up. And then when you're ready to unravel, lengthen forward, inhaling. Exhale, hands to hips, inhale up, unwinding. And coming back. Nicely done. We're going to grab the chair one more time. Jump or step the feet in. Right, so it becomes a golden calf when we just kind of mindlessly go into each pose without investigation. But when we shake it up in this way, we really give ourselves kind of that razor's edge attention to continuously build the Mishkan within, build that dwelling place within, so presence can be with us. Take the left foot forward and the right foot just a little bit back. We're going to start with a lunge, but we're going to start with kind of a more a babyish lunge, like the leg not so far back. The hands are to the back of the chair. And what this helps us not only with balance, which we may or may not need, but the real thing it gives us is that push away to allow us to lift the spine and really open the front line of the body. So first, just letting the back knee bend and letting the pelvis just drop like your tailbone has a pendulum on it. You can really feel the weight of the pelvis coming down. And you can press into the chair to lift the heart and really open the front of the chest. So you may stay right here. This might be plenty on your thigh and on your hip flexor and also on your sacrum. You decide. If you're feeling a little more open, if the body is receptive, you're going to take that right leg back further, more to a full lunge. You can have any amount of knee bent versus extending through that back heel, right? As well, we're working with how far we come down into this high lunge. And then we're pressing into the hands to lift the heart. So when we really attend to all these details, just like Bezalel, who the Torah says, Ruach Elohim bo, he has this God's spirit, divine spirit, coursing through his being and through his creativity. It's the same way, isn't it, when we really find our stride in a pose. It's kind of an open channel for presence, for spirit, however you define it. Creativity, beingness to come through you. And then step forward and send the left foot back. Again, just a baby lunge, this time. Let the pelvis drop. Kind of find your way in here. And if balance is a challenge, even with the chair here, you can step the right and left legs into further width across the mat to give you more of a foundation, more of a base. And this is where, as we kind of begin to work the heel back, we kind of access what we got from our warm-up of massaging the foot, the calf, the whole lower leg here. So we can really find this. And then if you'd like, taking that left leg further back and coming into a deeper lunge. So wherever you are, wherever your edge is, that's the perfect expression of this pose for today. Absolutely. You can work on sending that left heel back, dropping the tailbone. You can hear from how much I'm huffing and puffing. I'm really working on my refinements of alignment, pressing these hands down, lifting the heart. And then release as you're ready. Shake it out. And one more time, let's come to mountain pose. You can keep your chair where it is, but once again, externally rotating the arms, that's palms forward, and then taking them behind you to the chair, pressing them toward you. You can really feel that beautiful alignment. Open the collarbones, widen. Find breadth across the heart space, across the chest. And then release. I invite you, if you'd like, take one hand to the lower belly and one hand to the upper chest. Soften the gaze or even close the eyes. Go inside and register. What do you notice? Not intellectually, but what do you feel? Temperature of the skin. Any tingling or feeling of aliveness anywhere in the body? Is there anything that wasn't feeling so awake when you began and now feels more so? Just observe and allow, and be available to sensation. And then when you're ready, you can release the hands. Move the chair to the side. And grab your blanket. We're going to come down to the floor. So we really did a lot for the legs. And we did a lot to begin to really open the upper quadrants of the chest. It's really good, by the way, too, for the immune system, for the lungs during wintertime in these cold climates. So we're going to do a little more with the upper chest. Take your blanket to this fold, and we're going to make a jelly roll from the long side. So iron out with your hands your blanket and start to roll make it really tight. That's important. You can smooth it out as you go. Very tight roll along the long edge of the blanket. And then once you've rolled that tight roll, put it right in the center, vertically along the mat. And we're going to lie down. The tailbone, sometimes we're off the blanket, but this time the tailbone is on the blanket. And we're going to lay down vertebra by vertebra here. Lay ourselves down so that the blanket, the spine is right against the blanket. The blanket is directly under the spine, supporting the spine. And then take your arms and cross your chest and wriggle a little bit side to side so that you widen your shoulder blades. And then take your arms out to the side. Maybe it's in a T at shoulder height, lengthening with the palms up. Maybe it's cactus pose, bending at the elbows with the palms up. So we're here in such a way that each shoulder blade is falling away from the spine. And the upper chest can just passively open. So you might be feeling nothing if your chest is pretty open, or you might be feeling more if you're tight in those pectoral muscles. Either way, it's really allowing you something as the shoulder blades and the outer shoulders are aided by gravity to drop. Right? And probably they're not touching the floor, but they're moving in the direction toward the floor. Feel free to allow the eyes to close. If that feels safe and comfortable, or you can just leave the eyes open and just soften the eyelids in any case, and soften the muscles around the eyes. I just got a big gurgle in my tummy, which is a wonderful sign. Because what that tells us when we get something like that is that the digestive tract is opening a bit. We're giving some length for it. And we're allowing our nervous system to move in the parasympathetic direction. That is toward what we call rest and digest. So literally, the digestive system is just exhaling and going, thank you. So if you get that gurgle too, that's a positive sign. In this position, see if you can contact the breath arising from the low belly, rising from the pelvic floor and filling the belly. The skin of the abdomen moving toward the ceiling on the inhale, on that filling. The skin of the abdomen retracting back toward the spine on the exhale. And just let the breath be smooth, elongated, steady. Most of all, easy, so that it's not effortful anywhere to breathe. Anchor the mind's attention to the breath coming and going. And once you feel your mind connected to the belly breath after 5 breaths or so, begin to add the rib cage. So it's inhale, belly. And then as you deepen, that's followed by the rib cage expanding and opening. And then on the exhale, The ribs coming back toward the center line. And once again, the belly moving toward the spine. So see if you can connect with belly and then ribs on the inhale. Ribs and then belly on the exhale. Opening and closing. I should really say lifting and lowering, expanding, contracting. So that the breath moves up the front line of the body, rising from the pubic bone to the solar plexus and back down. And then as that feels comfortable, perhaps you can add the last third of our three-part breath, which is the upper chest, so that we inhale into the belly and it continues into the ribs, and then it continues to the upper chest all the way to the clavicular notch, the collarbones. And then going down from the collarbones to the solar plexus to the pubic bone. And then rising from the pubic bone to the solar plexus to the collarbones. And exhaling from the collarbones to the solar plexus, to the pubic bone, and so forth. Continuing like this. If that feels overwhelming, just go back to just the belly. And all the while, shoulder blades dropping, outer shoulders dropping. Few more breaths like that, paying attention, anchoring your mind to the breath, building the inner Mishkan with curiosity. So that we don't fall into the pitfall of the golden calf. Oh, I know how to breathe. I got this. Doesn't need attention. The breath is our most wonderful friend for paying attention because it's constantly changing, constantly moving. Our body is different every day. Our muscles of respiration a little bit different every day. And then as you're ready, with the least amount of movement, really just doing this so skillfully, just rolling to the side, grabbing the blanket behind you. And then we're going to take this blanket as you start to lay the back down onto the mat, neutral. We're going to take this jelly roll horizontally and place it either under the knees or right under the roots of the thighs, that is like right against the buttocks, and then lengthen the legs long. So either where I have it at the roots of the thighs, or if you prefer it a little further down by the knees. See if this feels good. If it's not good on your lower back, you're going to want to bend the knees. So wherever you are, give yourself a hug by crossing elbows for a moment and rocking a little side to side, widening the shoulder blades, elbows up toward the ceiling. Little self-hug. And then inhale, lengthen the arms up toward the ceiling, and then exhale, switch the cross. Give yourself a hug in the other way. Other elbow on top, a little bit of rocking side to side. Again, widening those collarbones, and then release the arms by your sides, palms facing up, the hands maybe 8 or 10 inches from the sides of the body. And be still. Just finishing our practice with gratitude, with reverence for this time and this care in building this inner Mishkan, this inner dwelling place for presence, for receptivity to presence. And we'll take a few minutes of quiet and then I'll bring you out. Beginning to deepen the breath, wiggling the fingers and the toes. And giving your body a nice yawn, stretch, sigh. And as you're ready, coming up to a comfortable seat. This possibility of creating deep presence and care within. We don't hold it just for ourselves, we extend it outward. And so today on day 143 of captivity for the hostages in Gaza, we pray for their safety, their safe and swift return. We join together as we've been doing every Monday by singing Achenu Kol Beit Israel from our liturgy. So feel free to sing along with me or just to listen. It's here in transliteration as well as Hebrew. Acheinu kol beit Yisrael, Achyoteinu kol beit Yisrael, Hanetunim betzara, betzara uvashivya, Haomdim ben bayam uven bayabasha. Hamakom yerachem, yerachem aleim, veyotziem mitzara, lirevacha, umeafel aleora, umishibud ligeula, hashtam bagala, uvizman kariv. Amen ve'amen. To all those in your own personal lives and communities and throughout the planet who are suffering illness of any kind, we also offer to them wishes for refuah shlema. Thank you all for your practice today. Shavua Tov. It's good to be together.